Goat Squad TV. Hey man, gonna do a rant. This is gonna be a rant only because I really feel like getting really annoyed with some of the shit that I'm seeing. All right, so a few things. I'm gonna start with the Milwaukee Bucks and why the Milwaukee Bucks are in the position they're in right now to possibly get swept or go down in 5, which is basically a gentleman's sweep. I was talking to my boy earlier, and I'll tell him how trash Mike Budenhozers is as a coach at this moment. I wasn't saying it to be offensive to his overall coaching ability, but let's face it, as of right now, let's just really be honest. Let's really be real. This whole playoffs, Budenholzer has done more detriment to his team with his coaching decisions and his lack thereof adjustments, in spite of his team winning. The Brooklyn series could have went either way. And there are easily, at least those first 2 games of that series, he was easily getting out-coached. The Atlanta series, you can make an argument. McMillan was out-coaching the hell out of him. But Atlanta just ran out of bodies. Trae Young went down. When Trae Young went down, and then when Hunter went down, that was pretty much it. It was like, even though Atlanta put up a fight, they just didn't have enough to overcome the Milwaukee team that, even though they didn't have Giannis, they still had Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. So let's get that down to the science. The adjustments are common sense adjustments. Right now, let's talk about right now. Let's talk about right freaking now. The reason why Budenholzer is getting his ass kicked in this series is simple. He cannot adjust to Chris Paul's pick and roll and mid-range game. So right now, Chris Paul is basically either going for the pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton and picking them apart with that, or him and Devin Booker are picking apart the Bucks with the mid-range game, and they're not making adjustments. They're doing guys like Pat Connaughton on Chris Paul. I like Pat Connaughton. He has no chance in hell to laterally defend Chris Paul one-on-one. Is leaving mismatches with Bobby Portis on Devin Booker or Bobby Portis on Chris Paul. The switching, he's over-switching right now. It's the same problem he had in the Brooklyn series. In the beginning, those first 2 games, Milwaukee kept switching, and they kept over-switching. And what happens is the teams find a mismatch. All right? They find a mismatch, and they rate that mismatch until you figure it out a way to make an adjustment. Budenholzer, who's for some reason getting this label of not reading the game and not understanding the game very well, instead of making the adjustment and being like, okay, maybe not switch, let me stick to one-on-one, let me have Giannis on, let's say, for instance, have Giannis on a Devin Booker, who's a little more laterally quicker, even if his injured self, he's a little more laterally quicker, and have Chris Middleton on Devin Booker, or Drew Holiday on Devin Booker, or Drew Holiday on Chris Paul. Yo, Chris Paul is devouring on pick and pops and pick and rolls just based on Brook Lopez. They had Brook Lopez defending Chris Paul on the top of the key. Porter defending at the top of the key. Like, what are they doing? You know what I mean? Like, you're committing suicide almost like on every possession. See, Milwaukee's offense problems are not the problem. Giannis had 42 and 12 last night. The day before, Middleton had 29. And they lost by the same, literally almost the same score. You know why? They can't get stops. Every time Chris Paul either run the pick and roll or pick and pop, and then what happens in the situation, there's such a threat with that pick and roll or pick and pop once they get to that lane. Now you got guys like Mikal Bridges going there and making moves, not just with the jump shot, but he's making moves with like off the dribble moves. When have you ever seen Mikal Bridges be an off the dribble guy? Cameron Payne over here making off the dribble moves. Like Cam Johnson getting mid rangers. You know, it's crazy how once the floodgates open, all of a sudden these cats are like hornets, man. They're just going, just attacking. And Budenholzer has not figured out a way to defend that. Now, for you novices out there that tell me, well, Budenholzer got into the finals. No, the Bucks got to the finals in spite of Budenholzer. Budenholzer's lack of adjustments and in-game adjustments, because for some strange reason, once he gets the team back to Milwaukee, he makes adjustments. The adjustments he's supposed to make, he makes at home. Here's the problem. You're already down 0-2. You were 0-2 to Brooklyn. You're 0-2 now to Phoenix. You were 1-1. You were up 2-0 on Milwaukee. I mean, on Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. And then, actually, you were 1-1 with Atlanta. You were 1-1 with Atlanta. You were playing with fire right now. You know what I'm saying? You guys are novices. You guys just think that the coach, you ask me a question like, doesn't the coach have a partner? Of fucking course, moron. Of course the coach has a way to get the team to the finals. But the coach also could enable the team once they get to the finals or when they go on their run. A lot of this shit's in spite. Giannis been getting blamed for shit that's not even his fault. The only thing you can fault Giannis on is his free throw shooting. Other than that, he's been hitting his jumpers. He's been getting to the lane. He's doing everything that he's supposed to do. Every series. When he's been healthy. Middleton, for all of this Batman talk where they say Middleton's really Batman and Giannis is Robin, nonsense that Kendrick Perkins has been saying. Kendrick Perkins is on crack. Don't ever listen to Kendrick Perkins. That man over here apologizing for Rachel Nichols' nonsense. We're not even going to get into that. Let's really have a real conversation here, strategically. If a coach doesn't make it, we've learned this, the Celtics learned this with Brad Stevens, specifically this season. When a coach doesn't make adjustments and the team doesn't respond to you, eventually there comes a point in time where you need to make a change. You can sit there and say, well, why would the Bucks make a change? They went to the finals. Because they did all this in spite of Budenholzer. Much how the Cavaliers did it in spite of David Blatt 6 years ago. You know what happened to David Blatt? Got fired 30 games in the season with a 30-12 record. But they knew that they knew that Ty Lue was a better candidate. They knew that this dude couldn't, X and O wise, the team was never going to respect David Blatt. Well, Budenholzer, who's got years in the league, he's the two-time coach of the year, for some reason he chokes under pressure in the playoffs. Especially when he just gives games away. They gave those 2 games away. Had they played any type of semblance of defense, at least with guarding the pick and pop or the pick and roll, instead of just switching, they probably would be 1-1 right now. Instead, both games were the same exact result. Literally were identical to the game 1 and game 2. We'll see what game 3 does. They're going to be playing in Milwaukee. But remember, Phoenix has won the majority of their games on the road. And they've been a road warrior team this whole entire season. When I told you, don't be surprised if Milwaukee goes down in 5. I said that confidently, saying the Suns go anywhere, they travel anywhere, they could beat you. So let me get off that for a minute. Let me get on some other subject real quick. You know what else annoys me? Is when I'm trying to talk Celtics basketball. And I understand everybody has objective ideals what Brad Stevens should do as president of basketball operations when it comes to what we're going to do for role players and how are we going to use some of those player exception situations and the money and who we going to get in free agency. We're kind of limited, so we're going to have to finagle. When I say, they're going to go get some free agents, it's like some of you people think we're going to go get some superstars to be on the bench. It's been like this for years. Bench players are bench players for a reason. Now, I'm a big believer in depth. And I do believe that with a couple veteran pieces like a Jeff Green, a Justin Anderson, or a Patty Mills, you know what I mean? Guys that are vets or kind of vets, and then you go get maybe like a young vet like a Justin Anderson. Slow mo. I think it's Justin here. It might be. I don't know. Forgive me if I got his name wrong. Forgive me. Dude in Memphis, number 1, Memphis. All right, he's a free agent. He used to play for the Spurs. You go get a couple cheap pieces for like a year or two. Sign them to a year or two contract. Stay away from re-signing foreigner. I don't think this team's that far away from being an Eastern Conference Final or even NBA Finals team. We had an off year, sure. But you know what? We didn't have the right pieces. Honestly, the problem was never the talent. Smart wasn't the problem. Even though he did stupid shit, Brown wasn't the problem. For sure he wasn't the problem. Tatum wasn't the problem, despite some of his shortcomings this year. Kimba was kind of a problem because he couldn't stay healthy and he just wasn't efficient enough and just couldn't really get buckets when we needed him. Our lack of a center that could stretch the floor really killed us. Tristan Thompson, who played decent, but let's be honest, he just doesn't fit what we're doing. He takes too much space, and he's kind of an old school traditional center who doesn't score. Can't keep him. He's on the squad. Tice for half the year was just bricking shots and taking step backs and shit, which is crazy for Daniel Tice to be doing. Why he's with the Bulls now. I believe he's a free agent. And our backup point guard position outside of Peyton Pritchard has been in shambles. Because once Pritchard was off the court and they didn't play him, they go throw Trey Waters and Carson Edwards out there. And with Brad Stevens, you never knew who was going to be out there. He never played the high hand. A lot of times he didn't know. He had a really bad pulse of the game, which I think Udoka is going to have a much better pulse of the game than he. But don't sit there and say, who are they going to get, though? As if, like, I don't know what I'm talking about, or as if, like, there's no free agents. I hate to break it to you. You're not going and getting high-priced free agent. Just not going to get a high-priced free agent. But you're going to get pieces that fit. The Celtics just need pieces that fit. We don't need to make a super-duper change with the lineup. Outside of getting Al Horford back in the trade, which was something we should have never let him go. Looking back at it, I regret kind of going in on Horford the way I did when he was first in here, because his versatility was just so huge for us defensively and offensively. He covered a lot of ground. Time Lord's lack of health, even though he played well, his lack of health and lack of shooting on our bench really killed us this year. It really killed us, man. We shooting threes. All we doing is shooting threes. And we don't even have the personnel for that. That's why I'm hoping we get a couple of shooters. We go get a Patty Mills. Or we go get an Anderson. Or we go get a Jeff Green who's a vet. We're not looking for Jeff Green to play a huge role. You're looking for Jeff Green to come in there and play 10 to 15 minutes and give us solid minutes. The dude just scored 32 points in a playoff game, for God's sakes, and torched the Celtics. He torched the Bucks too. Not like Jeff Green can't play. He just can't be a main guy. We seen what happened when we had Jeff Green the first time around, and when he was the main guy, he put up okay numbers, but he was never a guy that you were going to be able to rely upon to be like that next dude. But to come off the bench and give us 15 to 20 minutes of valuable time at the age of 32, I could take that. Patty Mills, 31 years old, and got a lot of playoff experience, got NBA Finals experience. I'm all for that pick and pop, man. I'm for it. We need that pick and pop 3-point shooter. We don't have enough of that. And he's a guy that could help Peyton Pritchard out in situations. Obviously, we got Naismith, and he's going to be much better next year. You know, Lord willing, he's healthy, and we got Langford, who's offensively challenged, but defensively, he's okay. So we just need 2 or 3 pieces amongst that bench. We already got the big man situation situated. We just need to get rid of Tristan Thompson. Now you got a whole bunch of trade session money, so you can pick the bottom of that bench once you get those 2 to 3 free agents. You could go and trade for somebody that maybe nobody's thinking about that might be on a losing squad that could really, be somewhat of a help. You know what I mean? But don't say that who are we going to get? As of I just need to start naming names. That doesn't make any sense. Role players are role players for a reason. They're not going to be guys that you're going to be looking upon to be stars unless in their roles. You know what I mean? We talked about role players when Chicago Bulls had years ago. They had Judd Bushler, Bill Wennington, and Steve Kerr. Those guys weren't all-stars by any stretch of the imagination, but they played, they were the best at playing in their role. And that's a Popovich trend. Just like Popovich and Phil Jackson, both those guys believed in that mantra of role players being the best at what they do. So we need the right guys to fit our system. In the meantime, let's be optimistic about this shit. The first couple moves Brad has made have been good. They've been better than anything Danny did the last year, at least the last year. So let's see what he's gonna do. Give him a chance. And no, we're not trading Jaylen Brown for the 1 billionth time. All right, we don't need a superstar when we got an all-star that's going to become a superstar on our team. We don't need to go get somebody who's older and doesn't fit what we're trying to do. That said, be patient. Stop looking. We're not going to go get a Lou Williams. We're not going to go get guys like that. Those guys are high-priced role players that are not, they're kind of aging. They're getting up there. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of look at it. We need to be a little more realistic. And we also need to know that our team is only going to be better next year. Tatum's going to be playing the Olympics. Brown's coming back healthy, right? Marcus Smart's going to have a whole off season to kind of figure out what the hell he's going to do, whether he's going to stay with the Celtics or he's going to come back in the best shape of his career. Is he going to really take this shit seriously? You're going to have Naismith and Pritchard playing Summer League, and Langford probably as well because he needs the reps. And even Moses Brown. You know what I mean? Like, guys that have faith in the direction we're going to go in. Stop looking at these rosters. Like, Brooklyn lost. I don't care if they have James Harden injured or not. I don't care if Kyrie Irving got hurt. They still lost 2 games when they had both those guys in there in the series. No team is unbeatable. It's all about matchups. And let's not act like we weren't in the games. We were in a lot of those, that Brooklyn series, we were in game 1 until that 4th quarter. And we played them tough in that first game. The second game, we got smoked. 3rd game, we beat them. 4th game, I think if a few things would have went our way, we probably would have won. And then the 5th game, we lost, but it wasn't by much. Tatum put up 32. Imagine if we had JB, it would have been a different story. We got a different coach now. We got a different culture. So we need to allow the new coach to come in here and make the moves. And if you don't think Udoka is an important part of what we're doing, you're crazy. But I'm going to leave that at that. This is my rant for the day. Agree, disagree. I don't give two whats. Gold Squad TV. Subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, do what you got to do. Gold Squad TV.